Okay, so today I'm going to do a quick one about pointless workouts, which is one of my three elements of why people don't get the body they want. Many people love training, go into the gym, do a hard workout, come home, do it repeatedly again and again and again, never see any results. Why is this? The reason is normally their workouts are pointless. Now I don't mean that by they're not getting stuff done, they're not burning calories, they're not exercising the muscle. They are doing that because obviously they would know if they weren't, if they were just going in and not training and then walking out, which maybe some people do if they're just sat down on their phone all the time texting rather than doing work and sets. Now what I'm talking about here is that when people go into their workouts, what they do is they don't have a plan, they don't have an idea about what the workout is going to accomplish for them at that moment in time. Now let's give an example. So there are many ways to do a squat. You can do it with really heavy weight. You can do it with lighter weight and higher reps. You can do it with pausing at the bottom. You can do it with squeezing the glutes at the top. All these different ways to do it, and all those different ways of doing the exercise will target the muscle slightly different. But what do most people do? They just go in and try and lift as much weight on squat, because squat is a heavy exercise and we've got to lift as much weight as possible. So what you then find is that people go in, lift too much weight on squat with poor form and actually don't target the legs at all. Another example is something that Paul and I were talking about on the podcast yesterday, and this is this new craze of using, the ankle blocks that you put onto your wrists or your ankles, and women use them to do like kickbacks and stuff like that. But there's been a new trend of people using them for doing chest exercises, so coming in that way, or from going up to the side with for doing lateral raises. But there's a major problem with how people are doing this. And here's the problem, is that most people don't do a lateral raise properly anyway, and now they're adding in a new variable to that. What I mean by this is that when most people do lateral raises, and I can actually demonstrate this on the video, because it's video not podcast that we were doing yesterday. When most people do lateral raises, and I'm going to look in the camera so I can make sure I'm doing this right or wrong. When we come up, the lateral raise, you're supposed to have the elbow here so the hand is slightly below, and this keeps the pressure on the side out here. The problem is when people do lateral raises, and you might do this yourself, is when you're coming up, you lift the hand like this. So all of a sudden now, you've turned your shoulder, so the emphasis is not on your side out, which is here. It's now shifting down towards the back and into the rotator cuff. Now, people do this, you see this doing all the time, where they're going like this and like this, doing their lateral raises, and actually not really hitting their delts at all. And then what they do is they translate that into their, when they use these clips. So they use these hands here, they clip the cable to it, and then now what they're doing is they're doing the same exercise, but with a clip on. And there's two things that is going wrong here. The first thing is, they're not doing the exercise right at all because they're not targeting their shoulder properly. The second thing is that to get the best benefit from not using a dumbbell, not something in your hand, you actually need to be pushing against the weight here rather than pulling the weight. Now what I mean by that is that when you're doing a lateral raise, you're essentially pulling the weight up because you're holding the weight in your hand and you're pulling the weight up. If you've ever seen those machines which have pads on, which you can do rear delts with, those pads there, the way you push the machine, you're actually pushing it rather than pulling it. It creates a different tension on the muscle. Now it's very slight tension, agreed. It's not, groundbreaking difference, but it does target the muscle ever so slightly differently. And that is part of the reason why you would use a clip form here to do that, so that you're creating tension and essentially you're pushing against the grip here. But what people are doing, because they're pulling too hard and they're trying to get as much weight as possible, they're then just doing a pulling action where they're pulling from their wrist rather than pushing against the weight here. So actually doing that sort of exercise is completely pointless, and they're not going to get any bigger shoulders than if they'd say done a dumbbell, and actually if they just reduced the dumbbell down a little bit and gone for the actual proper form, they'd get more out of their workout. And here's the problem, is that when people are going into the gym, there's this mentality that they have to lift as heavy as possible, have to get as many reps as possible. And there's also this thing about people wanting to sort of like do cheat reps, drop sets and forced reps and all that sort of stuff. For the majority of your workout, you don't need cheat reps, you don't need forced reps. You drop sets very sparingly used in specific situations. But people are just throwing them in, thinking I've got to do it on every exercise. Again, not targeting the muscle properly. So here's a quick tip to take away. If you're going to go to a gym today to do a workout, every single exercise you do must have a purpose. You know, why am I doing this exercise? What am I going to accomplish if I do this 1,000 times? What's the end result going to be from that? If you can't answer that from the exercise you're doing, you need to have a really good think about why you're doing that exercise. When you go into the gym for your workout, first of all, think about what am I trying to accomplish from this workout? Am I trying to get stronger? Am I trying to build muscle? Am I trying to maybe build muscle and lose some body fat? Is the purpose mainly to lose body fat? You know, all these things are quite relevant to how you're going to train, because if you're going to train stronger, then you need lower reps with higher weights. You know, that's pretty logical. If you need more muscle, and people do fall down on this, is you need actually more higher reps and more volume and slightly less weight so that you can get that volume in. If fat loss is one of your goals, you generally want to be doing all the high rep stuff and aiming for calories burnt as well. So that's a major important thing as well. But obviously fat loss comes from diet, which I'm not going to talk about today, but you need to have a calorie deficit long term for that. And then when you're going into every single exercise, say, why am I doing this exercise? If you haven't got a plan that you're following, such as the vitamin T plan, which you can download free from the Facebook group, if you've done any of those workouts, you'll know that each exercise is in sequence for a reason. And if you look at them, if you look at why they're in the reason, and if you're not sure, ask me why. There's a specific reason why you do those exercises and why the rep ranges are like that and why the amount of sets are like that and why the order is like that, because it moves you towards a goal. The goal of the vitamin T workouts are to build more muscle and burn a load of calories so you drop fat as well. So that is the main goal of those. But the way the workouts are set up, they have specific reasons. I wouldn't say, for example, if you're doing a chest workout and you chuck in bench press, incline press, decline press, and then some dips, well, that's a lot of pressing movement, so you get a lot of like impact on your triceps and shoulders as well as your chest. You probably haven't targeted your chest fully that you could do with, say, some flies, some slower dips, some high rep dips, some cable crossovers, if you put all that into the mix. That's maybe an extreme example, but I have seen people do that for their workouts, just do an absolute load of pressing with no cross work, with no pec contraction work. And, you know, they're strong, but they're not very big in terms of muscle size. So, tip to take away today, every time you go into the gym, think about why you're doing a workout, what you're looking to accomplish for that, and then program the exercises to accomplish that, and make sure you know why you're doing each exercise and how you're maximizing that exercise to get that goal. Need any help with that? Feel free to put a comment up. Feel free to put an example up of what your workout is doing. I'll be happy to comment, happy to help. Hope you got some value from that, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.